Hi gang, Trevor Beck here. Thank you for joining me for Power Tips for Google Chrome. This is another one of our videos as part of our Let's Talk About Google Apps series of videos that we're doing. Today we're focusing on Google Chrome. Now everyone knows what a browser is and everyone knows how you can open up web pages and stuff like that. But what I want to focus on today is some of the power tips that can actually take you to get things done to a level where you can get things done more eloquently, more time savers, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go through and we're going to take a look at the Chrome browser. Some of these controls and commands that we're going to talk about actually also apply for some of the other browsers, but there are some specific tricks that we're going to talk about, especially for those people who are interested in having your personal Gmail account and your work Google account open at the same time. A lot of us are trying to do the shuffle where we have to switch back and forth. I'm going to show you a trick that Chrome does really well that allows you to keep both of those windows open at the same time. But before we do that, I just want to point out that if you have any questions at any time, if you go to mcewen.ca/letstalkq, Let's Talk Questions, if you go to that URL, you'll get access to a Google Doc. If you have any questions, please just type them in there. Later on at the end of the session, I'll take a look through what's available or what questions have been asked, and we'll address those questions there. At the end of the session, I'll also give you the link to another Google Doc that has a lot of this documentation already printed out, so you don't have to worry about writing notes down or anything like that too much. So in the meantime, let me do some screen sharing. So everyone should be seeing my screen now. I've got a number of tabs open here in this window. Quite often what ends up happening is sometimes I'll hit Control W or Command O, depending on whether you're a Mac or a Windows user, and I'll close my tab by accident. And we all have that feeling where we go, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. I wanted to use that tab. Within Chrome, you can use Control-Shift-T or Command-Shift-T, depending on, again, Mac or Windows, and it'll bring that tab back. In fact, if I close 2 or 3 tabs and I just keep repeating those key commands, it'll bring them back one after the other. So you can actually go back 10 or 15 within your history and keep pulling up all that information. Another trick I like to show people is using your Command or Control key and clicking on a link. So here's a web page where I like to see a number of different stories, and I might be interested in them. Now, normally what happens is you'll click on this link, it takes you to that story, you read that story, then you come back, and there's a lot of back and forth going on. Well, by holding down my Command key and clicking on it, it actually opens up that window in a new tab. And in fact, it opens up not at focused. So that means I can go through, click on all these tabs here, and they'll load in the background while I finish reading through here. Now, sometimes I'm just going to close these off just because there's enough here. But let's say that I want to read this right away, but I don't want this page to go away. If I hit Command-Shift and click on it, it actually opens in a new tab, but it brings the focus right to the front. So this way I can read this one story, and then I can close it, and I'm back to my main page. With some websites, it used to take a long time for these stories to load. So what I used to do is, let's say I'm going to read all 4 of these stories. I would do these 3 here first in the background so that they can load up regardless how long it's going to take. Then I would read this story in the foreground. These ones could still be loading while I'm reading this story here. Then as I'm done, I can just close this tab, and I'm back to this window here, reading the other stories. So those are some handy tips with working with links. Another handy thing, especially for people who have monitors that are far away or they can't see what's going on very well, is the zoom. And the zoom is basically Command+, and it'll zoom right in. Now, my screen size here is maybe not the best size, so I might not see everything. I might have to resize my screen a bit just so I can see everything. But I can use the Command+ or Command- to go back and forth at any point in time. If I just hit Command-0, that just takes me to a normal view back where I started from. And that makes things just a lot easier. For some people, when you've got a monitor that's far away from you, some websites tend to have their text quite small, where other sites have their text quite large. And so it gives you that option to zoom in and out. So those are some of the keyboard shortcuts that I like to show people on how to use as we're going along in their browsers. The next thing I like to talk about is the search function. So I'm just going to go over here. Now, we all know that I can type in a piece of text in here and start and do my search here, or I can type down here and search. But did you know that if you click on this, you can search by voice? So basically, rather than doing the typing, I can look for all about dogs. And Google will actually go ahead and do that for me. You'll notice on a different page here where I've got the search function up here, there again is the microphone looking for Taylor Swift and .porn. And we can see Taylor Swift buys up porn site. Big news today, so I mean, I just thought I would throw that back in there. So doing the search that way makes life a lot easier and more fun to do. I'm just going to do a quick search here on, let's just look at puppies for a second. So as I'm searching about, I might see a piece of text that I'm really interested in. So, socializing puppies. So if I highlight this piece of text, I click and I hold on to it for a second, then I move it up, it will now take that, whatever I've highlighted, and that becomes my search query. And I get the information showing up in my search results. Just finding a piece of text is quite easy to do that. What if I'm on a page that I don't want to leave? So for example, I'm over here. I see the story about Wetaskiwin RCMP. Maybe I want a little bit more information about Wetaskiwin RCMP. I'm going to click and hold this again. But instead of putting it into the here, I'm going to bring it up here. And you'll notice an arrow shows up. And this says, hey, I'll put that query into a new tab. So here again, my original page is still there. I haven't overwritten it in the search. I've got a new tab here that I can go, and I can keep doing my research that way. The search function gives us some other really cool things if we look at Google. So for example, it'll do math. So for example, 32 times 15. Here we go. Does the calculator, pulls it up right away. It can even do conversions. So if I want to say I've got a 23 not pounds, what's the other thing we're looking for? Kilogram, 23 kilogram turkey to pounds. I can just type that in and it pulls up a little piece there. I use this all the time at Thanksgiving when I'm cooking my turkeys. I've got to figure out what it is because we all know 20 minutes per pound, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll do all the math there for me. Another fun stuff is timers. Quite often I will be doing something where I need to set a timer. And the beauty of doing this is it works on any computer that you're at that has access to Chrome. So for example, when I am working in a lab somewhere doing some teaching, if I want to give people 5 minutes to work on something, I can just type in timer 5 minutes. And then Google will actually do a countdown. And there'll be even a little buzzer that sounds off and everything else. I can even go and have this nice big screen here so everyone who's watching my presentation can see how much time they actually have left over. So that's the fun stuff with the some of the search functions that are available with Chrome. What I want to do is now show you about custom searches. So quite often, if I want to go search our McEwen site, I have to come here, I have to go into here, and I have to type in social work. And then I find the information I'm looking from. We can actually go and get Google to help us by creating pre-made searches. So let's take a look up here first. And you can see every search engine, most search engines have a Q equals something, and you'll find your search term in there. So I'm going to highlight this whole piece of text here. And I'm going to go into our settings. Now, settings will be different. On the Mac, it's called preferences. In Windows, it's called settings. I'm not sure what the command would be, but it's always going to show up looking like this. And what we're going to look at, I'll just enlarge the screen here a bit, is manage search engines. So let's go into that real quickly. Google by default puts in a bunch of search engines. So if I was to type in this piece of information here, it will automatically allow us to search that. So for example, let's take a look at Bing.com. If I go Bing.com, I hit a tab, notice it says search Bing. It says, here's what you're going to search. I can type in my phrase, puppies and kitties. And that's what it's done. It's done a search on Bing, bringing my results from Bing directly to me. Well, remember the search phrase here for MacEwan University, our website here? I'm going to go and I'm going to add that in here. So I go in here and I add, notice it says %S in place of query. So where social work is, I will highlight this, replace it with %S. Now, it says, what's the keyword? What are the words that you're going to put in that in the omnibar up top that's going to trigger to show up MacEwan? I just put in Mac, and this will give me the name of it. So I hit done. Now when I go up here, I just need to type in Mac tab, search MacEwan, and there was my search for social work. And instead of having to go to the site, instead of having to pull up the search function, it does it all in one step. So makes it a lot quicker and easier. And you can do this for all sorts of things. I mean, anything that's got a search query in it, you can go and replace it and create a shortcut. So for example, IMDb, every time that we have I need to know a movie that has, maybe space in the word of it or something like that. There's all my movies that show up in IMDb. I can also put in Future Shop. I'm looking for, no, apparently I don't have that listed, but I can create all sorts of different pieces and search engines in here just by taking the query. And you can see I do have Future Shop. I have Google Drive. I can even search my Google Drive. Google Help, I'm always looking for problems with that. I can search Google Image. I want a picture. So rather than going through the search function, then clicking on the word image, I can just click on Google Image and we go through there. So that's how we have add search engines to our stuff. Again, just a reminder, if you have a question, please feel free to add it to the document, macewan.ca/ can't remember what I had down there now. Let's Talk Q. macewan.ca, Let's Talk Q. Okay, let's take a look at appearances. So appearance refers to what does your theme look like. So I'm going to take a look at Get Themes. And my window cut out there for a sec, so I'm just going to make sure we're still live. Yep. So by default, when you create your account the first time, Google says, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this gray looking theme. I can go in and change colors of it just by searching a theme. And there's different themes in here based on different like topics, horses, dogs, penguins, sports, all sorts of different stuff. But you notice as you pick these different themes, it actually will colorize the tabs and stuff like that. So you can go and have a different color for every time you log in. Now this is important. Well, my timer went off. Not sure if you can hear that. This will be important in a second here, and I'm going to show you how you have different themes for different accounts. Let me go back to my settings. So we've already talked briefly about getting themes. It's pretty straightforward. You click on the one you want, all of a sudden your whole window changes color. I'm going to go down here to people. Now, do you remember when I was talking about logging in as different people? Right now, I'm currently logged in as Trevor working at MacEwan University. I'm going to add a different account. I have an account for teaching that I use, so I'm going to add that in because I don't want to be switching back and forth. And I will call this person Teaching Trev because that's the name of the account. Notice what's happened here. I might have to switch windows, so just give me a second. Yes, I will. Let me re-share my screen because I have to do the whole screen for this one. Share. There we go. Whoop, forget all that. Okay, so what's happened now, making sure it works. So what's happened is when I went and created a new person, this new screen showed up and it says, hey, I want you to log in. So I'm going to log in with this new account. And just give me one moment. I am now signed in Chrome as Teaching Trev. Now watch what's going to happen over here in a second. Google says, hey, you know what? I noticed when you logged in, you had a specific theme set up. You had all sorts of information available to you, and I'm going to bring that in. So my bookmarks, any extensions, any applications, the theme itself, all get synced automatically with this theme. Now watch what happens when I go to, well, let me switch back here. At MacEwan here, I don't have access to Gmail. So I'm just going to type in gmail.com, and I should get some kind of message trying to log in, and it's going to tell me, no, you can't. Watch what happens when I log in here to Gmail, though. I can log in as Teaching Trev. So it's almost like having two different browsers that aren't talking to each other. I'm logged in here with this theme, and I can point out quite quickly that this is my Teaching Trev theme. I can look over here, and this is my MacEwan information, and then two do not talk to each other. So you'll never have to worry about, am I in the right, do I have to do switching or anything like that? You actually have this set completely separate. I can actually add in another person if I wanted to. So here again, there's that gray piece that we had. I'm going to add in Jazz the Poodle, who always helps me out with this kind of stuff. And there's Jazz's icon. And again, let's just watch for a second here. And Shazam. We now have, again, a different layout. So when I'm looking at my screens, it's easy for me to tell, yes, I'm with this color, that's my Jazz color. I also have the names up in the top here. You can see that, so you can also know which way you are. On the Mac here, I can switch to people and just quickly switch back and forth. On the Windows, I believe there's an icon on the right. When you click on here, you can switch person as well. So you're moving back and forth between these different accounts, which gives you the option to go in and just customize whatever you want for that particular person, do the work you need to do there without having to do the switch accounts back and forth. Okay, that's all I'm going to cover today, because quite frankly, there's lots of good information there. Let me just pull my screen back on. So this URL here, http://goo.glb21xht, I will put that in the show notes as well as within the event page. That will take you to a document that I've created that has notes about what I've talked about today, with links to different documents that'll give you some more information about it. So you don't have to try and remember all of it, but it gives you a reference point for that. Let me take a quick look and see what we have for questions. Yesterday, I'm going to have to take a look at this. Someone's talking about they've opened up a tab, it opened up somewhere else. So Mike, I'm not sure what you're doing there that opens up a tab differently than the way I've explained it. Perhaps you can give me a call or send me an email, and I can come down, or we can do a hangout and I can see what it is that you're doing and give you an idea with what that is. I don't think there's any settings that Google has or Chrome has that's going to ensure that you open up everything in a new tab, but we can take a look. There may be something in there that I haven't seen or haven't looked at for quite a while, because Lord knows there's always something changing. There's always something to try and remember. No other questions. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. I will be doing more of these every week. So if you keep an eye out for MacEwan midweek, there should be a link there to whatever the next session is going to be. I also will put in a link to where all the other videos are stored that we're going to be doing, and keeping them all in the same playlist. Thanks very much for taking the time to join me, and we will talk to you guys next week.